Hey, what's up? I'm Basil Barrington and I am back. So, my last video I spoke about, you know, DJ Pro 5.3 and Traktor Pro 4 and how I thought that, there are all of these other DJ software companies that are moving forward while, Traktor is sort of moving slower than most, right? When it comes to the hardware and the software, right? And that's what they do, Traktor anyway, right? But so I was thinking, I was like, oh, I have this S8 that I use with Traktor, and no, I'm not going to sell my S8. Not yet, but I may. You never know, right? Who knows? Someone left a comment like, hey, don't sell it not unless, NI comes out with like a Traktor S8 MK2. I don't think that's going to happen. And I hope I'm wrong, but we will see. So I was thinking that, what, the S8 that I do have, it's a pretty powerful device, right? Definitely with Traktor and also as a MIDI device too. It is, you can sort of map that to other softwares as well, right? So I decided that, what, I'm going to try to map this to DJ Pro. And I've been, mapping it, but it's a slog because it's mapping, so everything isn't going to work. But I will say this, if you are trying to map the S8 with DJ Pro, you can do that. It's kind of simple. It's just time consuming, but your VU meters aren't going to work. Your headphone cues aren't going to work. Yeah, headphone cue volume and your headphone mix volume, that's not going to work. So it's a lot that's not working there that we visually as DJs may need to see or at least need to use. Like it would be really cool to have like headphone monitoring, on this mapping. But, which is why, probably DJ Pro never said, hey, the S8 is compatible with DJ Pro because of some weird sort of like thing happening on its motherboard or the chipset or whatever it is, right? It is pretty cool though. I have been using it. The thing about the S8, and I was just like, oh, I had like, I put my hands over my face and I was thinking, I was like, yo, you know what? Before I even say what I'm going to say, let me first say this, right? So Cleveland Terry and also Mojax from DJ City, they spoke about DJ Pro and how it's really cool and they've been using it and everything else, right? And Cleveland Terry, alluded to the fact that, it's a great software, but, we don't have any like hardware to use with this thing, So it's almost like, how I sometimes say that, no, they're like using a controller in the kitchen. That's not for me, right? So I'm like using DJ Pro and I'm just thinking, I'm like, wow, there are a lot of really cool things, that's available, features that are available in DJ Pro. And I'm like, wow, but you know what? How can you use all these features with hardware in an analog sort of way? Touching, tactile, the whole nine, right? And I'm just like, that's, you know what? I don't quite, okay. So I've worked in technology for over 20 years, right? And I sort of understand this stuff, right? So I mean, it's like with Microsoft, they created the software and then they basically had everyone adopted this software. So hardware companies were making products, with that, OS and with that, Windows and everything else, right? So it just kind of worked out, right? You have like Algorithm's DJ Pro and this software, and you have other companies making devices not specific for DJ Pro, but that can possibly be integrated with DJ Pro. So it's nothing specific, right? So you have all these features with DJ Pro. And I'm just like, well, how can I use all of these features? DJ Pro, that's a software company. Algorithm is a software company. They really need hardware. There isn't a perfect piece of hardware that can work seamlessly with DJ Pro and all of the features it has to offer. The stems, the stem crossfader, the stem effects, all of that sort of stuff, right? Just like how can we actually use all of these like sexy features on hardware? And yes, I know we can MIDI map everything else. You can MIDI map an F1 if you wanted to, an X1 for effects. You can do all that, right? Where's that one device, that one piece of hardware that we could actually use with DJ Pro that is specific to DJ Pro, maybe even exclusively for DJ Pro. I don't know, but we don't have that. I was also thinking, I was like, you know what? Maybe Algoriddim should like contact, who is it? Like the designer from like Apple, is it Johnny Ives or John Ives? They should contact him from Love From and say, hey, you know what? We would like you to design a DJ controller specifically for Algoriddim. And we want all of the analog sort of tactile, you know, faders and, knobs and everything else that can be actually mapped to some of these features we have in our software. Can you do that? And, they probably can. Ives have that sort of like, muscle memory and everything, knowledge to do all that, right? It would be pretty expensive. I mean, he designed an anniversary turntable for a company. I can't remember the turntable. I did a review of it. But the turntable was $60,000. I thought that was crazy. But apparently that's pretty inexpensive for like a high fidelity turntables. They're like high fidelity turntables that you can buy for like $500,000, $1 million. Like, wow, okay. But anyway, DJ Pro, we don't have the hardware, but I think there is a really awesome piece of hardware that they can learn from and maybe design a piece of hardware that works with DJ Pro. And I'm going to say it's the Traktor S8. So as I'm mapping the Traktor S8, I was actually able to map, the stem section, the neural mix, onto the stem decks that's on the S8. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool, right? I got faders now that I can like, blend in like different stems and everything like that on, DJ Pro. And then the stems crossfader and the stems effects and everything else. You can easily map all of that. There are so many controls, so many tactile faders and knobs on the S8 that you can really map that out to work with DJ Pro. However, I wouldn't really start mapping it. I mean, I have started mapping it, but I really wouldn't. The VU meters don't work. Like I said before, the cue, the headphone cue, all that stuff doesn't work, right? So even like the crossfader through and everything else, that doesn't work either, right? So it's kind of like I don't want to say goofy, but it's just that's the reason why when you go to Algoriddim's DJ Pro website and they have all the gear that you can use with their software, the S8 isn't there because it's just like the VU meters don't work and the headphone cues don't work. We need that as DJs. Those are like two are like the most important things to have, like VU meters on your channels and a headphone cue. We need that. It's like when Hyundai came out with the Ioniq 5, the first one, and it didn't have like a back windshield wiper. Like, really? That's so goofy, right? So that's what we need. Really think about it. Look at the S8 and then look at all of the features that are available in the software, the DJ Pro software. But imagine if Algoriddim said, you know what? That S8, that's a pretty dope controller. And we could actually, there are like all the features, all the tactile buttons and faders and knobs and everything else, right? We could actually use something like that, a piece of hardware like that, to exclusively work with DJ Pro. Maybe they license this, like, hey, Traktor, can we actually license this design of, the S8 to create a DJ controller that works exclusively with DJ Pro, and even throw in like, and we can also help you and make it work with, maybe it can work with Traktor as well, right? The first thing I would do with the software, with the hard piece of hardware like that, is get rid of the crossfader. Why do we have, why do we have like a jogless, DJ controller with a crossfader? Come on, we don't need that. We know what this, controller is for. We know who it's for. It's not for hip hop DJs. It's for dance music DJs. Get rid of the crossfader. So Algoriddim, you should say, hey, you know what? We like the design of the S8 because the S8, all of the sort of, again, the buttons, the knobs, the faders, everything, they work with all of the features or we can map them so that they work with all of the features that are available in our software. Come on. I mean, even if you say, hey, this is the design that's going to work, get rid of the crossfader. And then you say, you go out to a company, you license this out and you say, hey, you know what? You put out an RFP, like a design RFP. This is what we're looking for. And maybe even like make it a closed RFP where you just send it to, specific companies. So you're not putting it out there on the streets so that you can receive like thousands of proposals, right? And just think about something like that. The thing about these software only companies are it's real easy. Well, I'm not going to say easy, but it's just, you just have people sitting at a, desk and typing away, right? Just coding things up. Obviously with design, people are sitting at desk as well, designing the product, and putting it together. You have two types of people in this process. You have project people and process people. You need both of those people to create this hardware that's going to work. Algorithm needs like a hardware that can unlock all of the features that are available in this software, because I kind of think that this is what I always thought about like Algoriddim. I always thought that Apple would acquire Algoriddim. And I still think that Apple will, at their WWDC conferences, right, events, they may introduce a company, like, hey, this is a company. I forget the name of that company. It was a camera app, and you had the ability to control like things like aperture, ISO, things like that on your iPhone using this app, right? And they were like, this is our new partner. And then all of a sudden that company went away. And now Apple has that, Apple has that feature like now on like the Final Cut camera and also just everything else, right? So they were next to these engineers and I don't know what happened, but now Apple said, we don't want this partnership. We actually have this product ourselves, right? What may happen is, when you have these software companies and they're pushing forward, right? And it's just like, wow, we really like this software, but I don't want to just use this software just like with a mouse or on a mouse pad. That's like, it's goofy. Give me some hardware that unlocks the complete, arsenal of features in this pretty robust software. DJ Pro is getting up there for real. It's moving. It's grinding. They don't have like true remix decks though, like Traktor does, right? Or even I think Rekordbox has remix decks too, right? But we need that sort of feature where they have like remix decks, based on muscle memory in terms of what we know remix decks can do, right? I don't think that Algoriddim has that, DJ Pro has that. But they need hardware. And I don't want to make a prediction, but companies like this who have software and they just perfect the software and they just continually push forward with software only. However, the only way you can really unlock a lot of the features that's available in this software is to use hardware. And if there aren't companies building hardware around this software, then how can this company survive? If it's just like, Alpha Theta and maybe Reloop and Den and DJ, making hardware for the software, but it doesn't unlock everything. It's all these layers you have to go through. That's not going to work. If you look at the S8, the way I'm looking at it and the way I've been mapping it, I would say that 80 to 90% of what you need to do unlocking all the features in DJ Pro, it's not layers. You're just touching a fader, you're touching a button, you're touching a knob. That's it. There's some things that are layered up, if you want to, delete a cue point, use shift, whatever, right? But the shift button doesn't even work either. The shift button is not even available in the mapping. If you go to, and it's really cool because I was thinking like, hey, you know what? I want to see like the schematics of, the MIDI mappings for the S8. And I was just like, where's that, right? And I was just like, oh, it's available right here in like the controller editor, that Native Instruments provide when you download Traktor Pro 4. And it gives you all the MIDI map channel identifiers, so C84, C blah, 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 right? And I'm just like, okay, so this is where everything is. However, you still need to understand like integers and like all these different operators, I'm speaking, like tech stuff here, but you need to understand all that to actually put like an XML file together that you can then import into, djay Pro. However, even if you do that, even if your mapping is really tight, you don't have VU meters, you don't have like headphone cue, so you can't listen to what you're doing. So it's really goofy, right? So I don't know. And even if you were trying to map the S8 with other sort of like DJ software, you still can use VU meters or like headphone cues or headphone monitors or the shift button. So it's the same across the board. For some reason, Native Instruments like deactivated, the mapping for those sort of controls. So I don't know. But anyway, I do believe that djay Pro is a really awesome software. And again, if you compare it to like Virtual DJ and you're like, well, Virtual DJ, you're able to use all of these different sort of controllers and things of that nature. I'm like, yes, that's for sure, right? I don't know. I just think that, I'm trying to use other controllers with djay Pro. I was thinking about like the Reloop Mixon 8, but, I prefer like full-size jog wheels, so I don't like the really baby jog wheels. I have a S4, and the latest and greatest one, and I really like it, but I just don't like the size of the jog wheels. Algoriddim, we need a dedicated, exclusive piece of hardware that's going to work and unlock all of the features that are available in djay Pro 5.3 and moving forward. I was thinking about that and I was just like, let me just like turn on the camera, and just start like talking. So this is all off the top of the head. And I just wanted to pop on and say, djay Pro is an awesome software, but we need a piece of hardware that is able to unlock all of the features in this like really awesome software. So Algoriddim, you have a lot more to do. So chop, chop. Well, there you have it. Until next time, peace.